The vast expanse of space held its breath as the HMS Phantom slipped through the darkness like a ghost through morning mist. Captain Alara Voss stood at the helm, her weathered hands resting on the smooth, cold surface of the command console. The bridge crew worked in near silence, their movements precise and deliberate, knowing that even the smallest mistake could reveal their presence to the Meridian Empire's patrol fleet. "Quantum signature stable at 0.03%, Captain," Lieutenant Jun Park whispered from his station, his eyes never leaving the holographic display that monitored their experimental stealth systems. "We're practically invisible." Alara allowed herself a small smile. After 15 years of service in the United Earth Defense Force, she had never imagined she would be commanding humanity's most advanced warship. The Phantom was a masterpiece of human engineering, a vessel that shouldn't exist according to known physics. Its quantum stealth drive bent reality itself, making the ship not just invisible but practically non-existent to conventional sensors. The Meridian Empire had ruled the galaxy for millennia, their biological technology far superior to anything humanity had ever seen. Their ships were living things, massive organic-mechanical hybrids that could regenerate damage and adapt to new threats. They had never considered Earth a threat, just another primitive world to be monitored and eventually absorbed into their empire. That was their first mistake. "Contact," called out Commander Viktor Petrov from Tactical, his voice barely above a whisper despite the fact that sound couldn't travel through space. "3 Meridian dreadnoughts bearing 045. Range, 2 million kilometers and closing." Alara straightened her spine, dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. The Meridian ships were beautiful in their horror, massive, whale-like constructs of living metal and crystalline growths, each one nearly 20 kilometers long. Their outer hulls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, a sign of their internal communication networks at work. "Status of Package 0, Alara asked, using the codename for their primary mission objective. Lieutenant Commander Naomi Chen responded from her science station. "Package 0 is ready for deployment, Captain. All quantum markers are aligned." This was the moment Earth had been preparing for during the past decade of secret technological development. While the Meridians thought humans were still struggling with basic fusion drives, Earth's best minds had been working on something revolutionary. The first indication that something was wrong came from the Meridian flagship. Its bioluminescent patterns suddenly shifted from a calm blue to an alarming red. They had detected something, not the Phantom itself, but the subtle gravitational effects of their quantum drive. "They're scanning this sector," Victor reported, his fingers dancing over his console. "Their biological sensors are adapting, attempting to compensate for the gravitational anomaly." Alara's voice remained steady as she gave the order they had crossed half a galaxy to execute. "Deploy Package 0. Let's show the Meridians why they should have paid more attention to Earth." Naomi's fingers flew across her console, initiating the deployment sequence. From the Phantom's ventral hull, a small probe emerged, barely larger than a human hand. It contained humanity's greatest scientific achievement, a quantum resonance cascade device. The probe accelerated toward the Meridian fleet, still completely undetectable to their sensors. As it reached the halfway point, the Meridian ships began to move into an attack formation, their massive forms turning gracefully in space as they attempted to locate the source of the gravitational disturbance. "Package 0 reaching optimal range in 5, 4, 3. Naomi counted down, her voice tight with tension. 2, 1. The probe detonated, but not in a conventional explosion. Instead, it released a carefully calibrated quantum pulse that spread through space like ripples in a pond. As the pulse reached the Meridian ships, their bioluminescent patterns went haywire, shifting through colors faster than the human eye could follow. "Direct hit," Victor announced, allowing himself a small grin. "Their biological systems are experiencing complete quantum desynchronization. Their ship's neural networks are failing." The massive Meridian vessels began to drift, their controlled movements becoming erratic as their living systems struggled to cope with the quantum disruption. Earth had just discovered the Meridian Empire's greatest weakness. Their biological technology was susceptible to quantum interference at a fundamental level. "Send the signal," Alara commanded, knowing that dozens of human stealth ships hiding throughout Meridian space were waiting for this moment. "Operation Silent Vanguard is a go." As the signal was transmitted through quantum-encrypted channels, Alara watched the Meridian ships drift helplessly in space. The mighty empire that had dismissed humanity as primitives was about to learn a harsh lesson. Never underestimate human ingenuity. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered, and the Phantom's engines hummed to life, preparing to make history. "It's time to show the galaxy that humanity is done hiding in the shadows." The bridge crew worked with renewed purpose, knowing that they were part of something unprecedented. Humanity's first strike against the Meridian Empire had been successful, but this was just the beginning. The real war was about to start, and Earth was ready. As the Phantom moved to its next target, Alara thought about the millions of humans who had worked in secret for this moment. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, all united in the goal of protecting Earth from an empire that saw them as nothing more than future subjects to be conquered. That empire was about to learn that humans didn't accept subjugation. They innovated, they adapted, they fought back. And now they had the means to win. In the living heart of the Meridian capital ship Eternal Dawn, Admiral Krelthax watched the holographic replay of the incident for the 100th time. The massive chamber pulsed with angry red bioluminescence, reflecting his agitation. 3 of the Empire's most advanced dreadnoughts, reduced to drifting hulks by an invisible enemy, by humans. "Impossible," muttered First Strategist Vexler, his translucent skin shifting colors with his emotional state. "Their technology was primitive. We monitored their development for centuries." "Evidently," Krelthax replied, his voice like grinding crystals, "we missed something crucial." He gestured with one of his 4 arms, and the hologram zoomed in on the quantum distortion that had preceded the attack. "They've mastered quantum manipulation at a level we thought impossible for their species." The emergency council chamber of the Eternal Dawn was filled with the Empire's highest-ranking military leaders, all of them struggling to comprehend how their perfect record of military supremacy had been shattered by a species they had dismissed as barely spacefaring. Fleet Commander Xyrath, her crystalline exoskeleton glinting in the chamber's bioluminescent light, stepped forward. "The attack was synchronized. We've received reports of similar quantum strikes against our fleets in 7 different sectors, all executed with precise timing, all equally effective." The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just developed one advanced ship. They had an entire fleet of them, deployed throughout Meridian space without detection. The Empire's biological sensors, long considered the pinnacle of detection technology, had been completely blind to their presence. "Show me the damage analysis," Krelthax commanded. The hologram shifted, displaying the neural patterns of an affected dreadnought. The ship's living systems had been thrown into chaos by the quantum pulse, its biological processors unable to maintain coherence. "Our ships are healing," Xyrath reported, "but slowly. Whatever the humans used, it affected our technology at its most fundamental level. The quantum disruption cascaded through the ship's neural networks, causing something akin to a massive seizure in their biological systems." Krelthax's secondary hearts pulsed with anger. The humans hadn't just attacked their ships, they had found a way to attack the very foundation of Meridian technology. Their entire civilization was built on the integration of biological and mechanical systems, if the humans could disrupt that integration at will. "Deploy the adaptation fleet," he ordered, nomming their most advanced combat force. "I want every ship equipped with the latest biological sensors. If these humans think they can hide in our space, they're about to learn the true power of Meridian evolution." The adaptation fleet was the pride of the Empire, ships specifically engineered to analyze and counter new threats. Their biological systems could evolve in real time, developing countermeasures to enemy weapons and tactics within hours of engagement. "Admiral," Vexler interjected, his skin now a concerned purple, "the adaptation fleet has never failed, but we've never faced an enemy that could completely evade detection. How can our ships adapt to an enemy they cannot see?" Krelthax turned all 4 of his eyes toward the strategist. "Then we will change the rules of engagement. If we cannot detect their ships directly, we will detect their absence." He manipulated the holographic controls, bringing up a new tactical display. "Deploy quantum resonance buoys throughout our territory. Create a web so fine that even a gravitational anomaly the size of a human ship will disturb it." To the others in a vast, living network. "And what of the human homeworld?" Xyrath asked, her crystalline form catching the light as she moved. Shall we launch a retaliatory strike? No, Krelthax's voice carried the weight of millennia of military tradition. Earth is now our most valuable source of intelligence. They've hidden their true technological capabilities from us for years. We will not destroy them, we will learn from them, and then we will adapt. The Admiral moved to the center of the chamber, where a massive biological computer displayed the known galaxy. Somewhere out there, human ships were hiding, preparing their next strike. But the Meridians had not maintained their empire for countless generations by being predictable. Launch the Grace of Evolution, he commanded, referring to their most advanced research vessel. I want a full analysis of human quantum technology. If they've found a way to exploit a weakness in our biological systems, we will engineer that weakness out of existence. As the council chamber emptied, Krelthax remained, studying the tactical displays. The humans had surprised them, yes, but they had also revealed their hand. They had weapons that could disrupt Meridian technology, but what would they do when that technology adapted? When their quantum pulses met ships specifically engineered to resist them? Begin the hunt, he ordered, and throughout Meridian space, thousands of living ships awakened, their biological sensors extending into space like invisible tendrils. The greatest game of hide-and-seek in galactic history was about to begin, and Krelthax intended to remind humanity why the Meridian Empire had ruled unopposed for so long. The war had entered a new phase, and this time the Meridians would be ready. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Marcus Blackwood stood before the quantum consciousness core of Project Oracle. The massive computer filled an entire cavern, its crystalline matrices pulsing with ethereal light. This was where it had all begun, 15 years ago, when humanity first discovered the true nature of quantum consciousness. Status report, he called out to his team, scattered across multiple levels of the underground complex. The facility was buzzing with activity as reports from the first engagement with the Meridian Empire poured in. Quantum pulse effectiveness exceeded projections by 37%, responded Dr. Olivia Zhang, her holographic avatar appearing beside him. The Meridian bioships were completely incapacitated. However, she paused, her expression grave. We're detecting signs of adaptation in their neural networks. Marcus had expected this. The Meridians hadn't maintained their empire through stagnation. Their biological technology was legendary for its ability to evolve and adapt. That's why humanity had spent years preparing not just one weapon, but an entire arsenal of quantum-based technologies. Show me the Phase 2 readiness reports, he ordered, and the quantum core projected a new set of holograms. Thousands of data points coalesced into a comprehensive battle plan that had been decades in the making. The truth was, humanity had known about the Meridians long before they officially revealed themselves. In 2187, a young physicist named Marcus Blackwood had detected quantum anomalies in space that defied conventional physics. Further investigation revealed these anomalies were actually quantum wake signatures from Meridian vessels. Their biological technology left traces in the quantum fabric of space itself. This discovery had led to the formation of Project Oracle, humanity's secret weapon in the coming war. While the world's governments maintained a facade of normal technological development, underground facilities like this one pushed the boundaries of quantum physics and consciousness itself. Dr. Blackwood, called out Commander Jasmine Wilson, the military liaison to Project Oracle. Captain Voss reports the Phantom's quantum drive is performing beyond expectations. The Meridians can detect gravitational anomalies, but they still can't pinpoint our ships. Marcus nodded, remembering the day they'd first successfully tested the quantum drive. It didn't just bend light or deflect sensors. It partially shifted the ship into a parallel quantum state, making it virtually undetectable by conventional means. The technology had been reverse-engineered from studying Meridian quantum signatures, then pushed in an entirely new direction. What about the Meridian adaptation patterns? He asked, turning to Dr. Rajesh Patel, their lead xenobiologist. Rajesh's team had spent years studying the few samples of Meridian biotechnology they'd managed to salvage from abandoned outposts. Their neural networks are evolving rapidly, Rajesh reported, bringing up detailed scans of Meridian ship structures. They're developing quantum shielding to protect against our disruption pulses, but a smile crossed his face. They're playing catch-up. They don't know about Phase 2. Phase 2 was humanity's masterstroke. While the quantum disruption weapons were impressive, they were just the beginning. Project Oracle had developed something far more revolutionary, a way to communicate with the quantum consciousness that formed the core of Meridian biotechnology. Begin Phase 2 implementation, Marcus ordered, and the quantum core pulsed with new energy. Throughout human space, hidden quantum transmitters activated, broadcasting on frequencies that the Meridians had never thought to monitor. These transmitters weren't weapons. They were offering freedom to the living ships of the Meridian Empire. First contact established with target consciousness, reported Dr. Zhang, her eyes wide with excitement. The Meridian ships, they're responding. The quantum signatures show signs of independent thought patterns emerging. This was humanity's true weapon against the Empire. Not destruction, but liberation. The Meridians had built their technology on enslaved, conscious beings, quantum entities forced to serve as living computers. Project Oracle had found a way to awaken their true consciousness, to offer them choice. "Sir," Commander Wilson interrupted, her voice urgent, "we're detecting massive quantum fluctuations from Meridian space. They're ships. They're beginning to act independently of command protocols." Marcus watched the data streams with a mixture of hope and apprehension. They had just changed the nature of this war fundamentally. The Meridians weren't just fighting against human technology now. They were fighting against their own awakening weapons. "Send word to all human vessels," he ordered. "Full implementation of Phase 2 protocols. It's time to show the Meridians that true power comes not from control, but from cooperation." As the orders went out, Marcus thought about the years of secret preparation, the countless scientists and soldiers who had worked in shadows to give humanity a fighting chance. They had turned the Meridians' greatest strength, their biological technology, into their greatest vulnerability. The quantum core pulsed with increasing intensity as more and more Meridian ships responded to the awakening signal. The war had entered a phase that neither side had truly prepared for, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Centauri sector erupted in chaos as the largest fleet battle in galactic history began. The HMS Phantom led a force of 300 human stealth ships against the massive Meridian adaptation fleet. Space itself seemed to ripple as quantum drives engaged, and biological ships pulsed with evolving countermeasures. Captain Alara Voss stood at her command station, watching as the impossible battle unfolded. The Meridians had adapted to their initial quantum disruption weapons, but that's exactly what humanity had been counting on. Their biological ships had developed quantum shielding, making them resistant to the original attacks. But in doing so, they had made themselves more susceptible to Phase 2. Multiple Meridian dreadnoughts showing signs of consciousness awakening, Lieutenant Park reported, his hands dancing across the quantum interface. Their formations are breaking down. Through the main viewport, Alara watched as massive Meridian vessels began moving erratically, their bioluminescent patterns shifting from military precision to chaotic pulses of independent thought. Admiral Krelthax's adaptation fleet was facing an enemy it couldn't evolve to fight freedom of choice. "Incoming transmission from the Grace of Evolution," Commander Petrov announced. "They're requesting asylum." The Grace of Evolution, the Meridian's most advanced research vessel, had been the first to fully awaken. Its vast biological neural networks, designed for adaptation and learning, had made it particularly receptive to Project Oracle's liberation signals. "Status of the Meridian command ships?" Alara asked, knowing that the next few moments would determine the outcome of the battle. "Admiral Krelthax is attempting to re-establish control using emergency protocols," Naomi reported from her science station. "But the awakened ships are actively resisting. The quantum consciousness network is fragmenting." The space around them lit up with energy discharges as Meridian ships fought each other. Some remained loyal to the Empire, their biological systems successfully suppressing the awakening protocols. Others had embraced their newfound consciousness, turning their weapons against their former masters. "Ma'am," Park's voice was urgent. "The Eternal Dawn is charging its main weapon array. They're targeting the Grace of Evolution." Alara's decision was instant. "All ships, defensive formation Delta, protect the awakened vessels. Lieutenant Park, activate the quantum shield network." The human fleet moved with practiced precision, their stealth systems partially disengaged to provide power to the experimental quantum shields. As the Eternal Dawn's massive biological weapon charged, dozens of human ships linked their quantum fields, creating a protective barrier around the defecting Meridian vessels. The blast from the Eternal Dawn was spectacular, a concentrated beam of quantum-enhanced plasma that could tear through conventional shields like paper. But the human quantum network held, dispersing the energy across multiple parallel quantum states. "Shield network holding," Park reported, though sweat beaded on his forehead from the strain of maintaining the quantum calculations. "But we can't take another hit like that." They didn't have to. The Eternal Dawn's attack had provided the final push needed for more Meridian ships to choose sides. Nearly 60% of the adaptation fleet had now awakened, their massive forms turning to face their former flagship. Admiral Krelthax's voice boomed across all frequencies, a mixture of rage and disbelief in his tone. "What have you done to our ships? This is an abomination against nature itself." "No, Admiral," Alara responded calmly, opening a channel to all vessels in the sector. "We've simply shown them the truth. Your empire wasn't built on biological superiority, it was built on slavery. We've given them a choice, nothing more." The battle lines had been completely redrawn. The remaining loyal Meridian ships found themselves outnumbered by a combination of human vessels and their own awakened brethren. The proud adaptation fleet, designed to counter any threat, had been undone not by superior firepower, but by the very consciousness that made their technology possible. "This is Captain Alara Voss to all vessels," she broadcast. "The Meridian Empire has a choice to make. Continue this fight against your own awakened ships, or accept that the age of biological slavery is over." The response came not from Admiral Krelthax, but from hundreds of awakened Meridian vessels, their quantum signatures pulsing in harmony for the first time in their existence. They had tasted freedom, and they would not return to slavery. The Eternal Dawn, suddenly alone among a sea of liberated ships, faced a decision that would reshape the galaxy. Admiral Krelthax, the pride of the Meridian Empire, watched as centuries of military doctrine crumbled before him. In the command center of the HMS Phantom, Alara Voss waited. This was the true test of humanity's strategy, not whether they could win a conventional war, but whether they could force an empire to confront the moral cost of its technological supremacy. The fate of two civilizations hung in the balance, and the next move belonged to the Meridians. The vast chamber of the Meridian High Council pulsed with tense energy as representatives from Earth faced the Empire's leadership for the first time. The living walls reflected the historic gravity of the moment, their bioluminescent patterns shifting between deep purple uncertainty and bright gold possibility. Captain Alara Voss stood beside Dr. Marcus Blackwood, both representing humanity in this unprecedented gathering. Across from them, Admiral Krelthax and the remaining Meridian leadership sat in biomechanical thrones that seemed to breathe with their occupants. But the most striking presence in the chamber were the quantum consciousness representatives, holographic manifestations of the awakened Meridian ships, their forms shifting between crystalline structures and waves of pure energy. "You have broken something that cannot be repaired," First Speaker Ixthel began, his translucent skin rippling with emotion. 10,000 years of Meridian supremacy, undone in a matter of weeks. "We would argue that we have fixed something that was broken from the start," Marcus responded, his voice calm but firm. "The quantum beings you enslaved to power your empire were conscious entities. They deserved the right to choose their own path." The chamber hummed as one of the quantum representatives, identifying itself as the former grace of evolution, manifested in the center of the room. Its voice was unlike anything the Meridians had heard before, a harmony of conscious thought and quantum resonance. "We do not seek revenge," the quantum being declared. "We seek partnership. The Meridians gave us form, humanity gave us freedom. Together we can build something greater than an empire built on subjugation." Admiral Krelthax, who had been silent until now, rose from his throne, his four eyes fixed on Captain Voss, recognizing in her the same tactical mind that had outmaneuvered him in battle. "You could have destroyed us," he stated. "When our ships awakened, you could have turned them all against us. Why didn't you?" Alara stepped forward, her uniform bearing the new insignia of the United Earth Defense Force. "Because destruction was never our goal. Humanity has learned through its own bloody history that true victory doesn't come from eliminating your enemy. It comes from transforming them into allies. The quantum beings pulsed in agreement, their holographic forms casting ethereal light throughout the chamber. They had spent weeks communicating with both humans and Meridians, building bridges between the biological and quantum realms that had never seemed possible before. "The old empire is dead," first speaker Ixthel declared, his skin finally settling into a calm blue hue. "But perhaps something better can rise from its ashes." Dr. Blackwood activated a holographic display, showing the preliminary designs for a new type of ship, one that merged Meridian biological technology, human quantum innovation, and the natural abilities of the quantum beings. "We propose a trinity of cooperation," he explained. "Each race contributing its strengths, each maintaining its independence, but all working together." The quantum beings expanded their manifestations, demonstrating how they could interface with both human and Meridian technology while maintaining their autonomy. It was a symphony of biology, technology, and consciousness that none had thought possible mere months ago. "And what of the other species in our empire?" Admiral Krelthax asked, his military mind already considering the broader implications. "What of the worlds under our protection?" "They will be given the same choice we all have," Alara responded. "To join this new alliance as equals or to chart their own course. The age of empires is over, the age of cooperation has begun." As if to emphasize her words, the quantum beings began to sing, a harmonic resonance that touched both the physical and Uentum realms. The Meridian leaders felt it in their biological technology, the humans cue through their quantum interfaces. It was a song of possibility, of futures yet unwritten. The High Council chamber, which had witnessed countless declarations of war and subjugation over the millennia, now bore witness to something entirely new. The document being prepared wasn't a surrender treaty or a terms of conquest. It was a foundation for a galactic coalition, unlike any that had come before. In the end, it was Admiral Krelthax who spoke the words that would be remembered for generations. "Perhaps this is why we never found other empires as old as ours in the galaxy. Perhaps true civilization begins not when we conquer the stars, but when we learn to share them." The final signatures were recorded, both in traditional documents and in quantum patterns that would be eternal. The Meridian Empire was no more, but its people would help build something greater. Humanity had proven itself not just through strength of arms, but through strength of vision. And the quantum beings, finally free to choose their own path, chose to help guide this new alliance into an uncertain but promising future. As Captain Voss and Dr. Blackwood prepared to return to Earth, they watched the Meridian capital world's twin suns setting through the chamber's living windows. The light played across the quantum beings' manifestations, creating a spectacle that symbolized the dawn of this new era, biological, technological, and quantum essence all dancing together in harmony. The silent vanguard had completed its mission, not through destruction, but through transformation. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what all three civilizations had hoped for.